Hi yogis, welcome to the second part of our series of practices to build strength and mobility in the hands and the wrists and the arms, and then eventually into the shoulders. Doing a little bit of shoulders today, and just gradually strengthening this whole upper body section up, ready possibly for some arm balances in the future. So we have already done a practice that was focused around downward facing dog and building strength in the wrist there. So we'll be moving and going a little bit deeper now and moving from downward facing dog into plank pose, which is a press up position. And then we'll bring some hip opening, some core strengthening, not just the front of the core but the back of the core, because that's really, really important as you move towards plank pose, and ending with a holding plank pose. So just keep practicing and just gradually building the strength through your wrists. And we're going to begin lying down. I'm going to connect with the breath and get really settled there. But because I'm going to be lying down when I do this first one, what I'm going to ask you to do is roll to the side and take one of your hands up your back with your palm facing down towards the floor. And you can just stay like that, or you can take your other hand behind your head, but you're not trying to touch your fingers. It's quite a gentle, so you're not going to your full stretch there, even if you can get hold of your fingers. So we'll begin lying down on our backs. You shouldn't need any props for this practice, but if you want to have a couple of bricks and a strap nearby just in case, the most you'll probably need is a couple of cushions or something just to give you some support underneath your knees to open your hips. So you're going to lie down on your back. Actually, I'm going to turn around for the purpose of the video. And just turn your palms to face up, let your shoulders really relax, let your feet fall out. So it's like a little mini Shavasana at the beginning. And you can also have your hands on your body so that you can really connect with the breath. I'm going to choose that option mainly because the floor's a little bit cold. So one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, or hand by your sides. Closing your eyes. And just allowing yourself to drop down, to relax and to be still before you move. So we want to take this time, this opportunity, to notice everything that we can in this first few moments. What sensations we can feel, if physically, depending on what we've been doing, depending on what position we've chosen, how your shoulders are. Also, any resistance that you might meet to relaxing and to being still. And again, that's going to depend on what you've been doing. And it's also going to depend on the state of your mind. And we're going to use the breath and our connection to the breath to start to calm the mind down. And we're only going to do this for a few moments, but I strongly encourage you to pause your video and take as long as you need so that you're in the right place that you need to be before you start, physically and mentally. So just start to notice your breath, notice the rise and fall of your breath. Connecting with the expansive nature of your inhalation and the softening and releasing quality of your exhalation. So you're looking for space and you're looking for softness. And you're looking for that in every pose, even plank pose, where we'll be ending up. Is that quality of finding your strength, observing where you feel strong, where you don't feel as strong, and bringing some more engagement where you don't feel strong, but without tension. Still looking for softness and ease in every single pose. And then we're going to begin by bending your knees and rolling to the side. I'm going to take my right arm behind me first. So just rolling back on top of that arm and adjusting the angle of my hand so that, yes, I feel a stretch in my wrist and my forearm, but not so that it's uncomfortable. And then taking my left arm so that I'm making a pillow for my head. And this, if you add the top arm in, you're going to create some passive stretching in your tricep, so the outer edge of your upper arm. And I like this position. You can have your both legs straight, you can have both knees bent. I prefer to have one or both knees bent because it kind of pushes the weight more back into my arms, so I get a little bit more of a stretch than if my legs are extended. But if it's too much, then straightening your legs is an option to just make it a little bit less intense. But we're not looking for intensity. It's right at the beginning. We're looking for a passive stretch. And then from here, I'm going to release this top arm and I'm going to roll onto my side. And I'm going to release my arm that's been underneath me and just drape it over the crown of my head, maybe a few little wrist releases. So this is lounge lizard, this pose, just a little bit of a release. And then from here, I'm going to stay resting on my elbow and I'm going to bend this right knee and cross my left ankle on top of my right thigh. So I want this left knee to be on the floor. So that's going to determine where this right foot comes to. And then you've the option to stay here flexing this left foot and pushing your left knee into the floor for a gentle opening in your hips. Or you can lie all the way down with your head on the floor and then pick up this right thigh, interlace your fingers behind that thigh and start to pull that thigh in towards you. But I'm still pressing this left knee into the floor. So it's a really, really safe stretch for the knee because the knee is pressing into the floor. And this is one of Dylan Werner's stretches. Really, really love his stretches. So, to give him credit for this one. And then slowly release. Come back onto your back. You'll see this a little bit more clearly now on this side. I'm going to roll onto this side and take this time my left hand up behind my back and then roll back onto that left hand. And then from here, you can stay like that, or I'm going to take my right hand behind me and make a little pillow. Really nice stretch for the ribs. I can feel the intercostal muscles between my ribs getting a really nice stretch because the hand behind my back just lifts my chest up and creates a really nice opening. Plus I can feel that tricep stretch on this right hand arm, sorry. One more breath. then I'm going to roll this time onto my right elbow and releasing this left hand and taking it over and just draping it, maybe a few little wriggles out. And then I'm going to stay on my elbow, but I'm going to bend my left knee and take my right ankle on top of my left knee. But I'm going to position this left leg so that my right knee is still pressing into the floor. And you can stay there, or like I did on the other side, you can come down so your head's on the floor and pick up this left leg and hold behind your thigh, but keep your right knee pressing into the floor and draw your left knee in toward your chest. So I'm still lying on my right side and I'm pushing this right knee into the floor, flexing that right foot and finding a really lovely stretch into the right glutes, the outer hip, into the outer thigh, but nice and safe for my knee. And then slowly release. And I'm going to do our first little bit of core work. So you're going to stretch your legs out and you're going to press your lower back into the floor by pulling your lower ribs down, your pelvic points up and your navel down. And then take a big breath in, and as you exhale, lift your head and shoulders. So just your shoulder blades come off the floor, you're reaching your fingertips towards your feet, and then little reaches on the exhale. So exhale, reach. So it's a little passive inhale, and then exhale as you reach. And this is going to work the upper part of your abdominals at the front. So keeping the lower back pressing into the floor, keeping my legs fairly relaxed. So this is all about the upper body. Just little reaches. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly release all the way down. Take the legs up, arms by your sides. Point your heels towards the ceiling. So if it bothers your hamstrings, you can do this with your knees bent. Okay? And then from here, little lift. So I'm just going to lift my heels, push them up, a little lift off the floor with my hips. And I'm trying my best not to swing my shins towards me. That's what they want to do. But I'm just trying to take my legs straight up. And it's a really small movement. But it's all about the lower abdominals now. That's where you're going to feel it. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then from here, I'm going to rock up to a seat. And I'm going to cross my ankles. And then, I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together about 8-9 inches in front of me, depending on the length of your legs. Holding on to my feet or my ankles or my shins. And then I'm going to press my legs down and let them rebound up. So some people call this fluttering with the knees, but it's a really great way to open up the hips and just bring a little bit more mobility and a little bit more length into the inner thigh muscles, so your adductor muscles, which can be really tight on a lot of people. So you want to be sitting as upright as you can. And if you find that this is too much and you're really rounding your spine, you can extend one leg out and, like we did before, cross that ankle over, and then you're just going to do little pushes on the knee, but you're not pushing, you're just encouraging the knee back and you're just letting it rebound back up. Okay, and then switch legs, and again you can do that for as long as you feel as though it's going to be beneficial. Good. And then from here, you're going to come and lie down on your belly. So it's a little bit of like up and down at the beginning, but we've done a little bit of work for the front of the body and the core, and now we want to do some work for the back body, the back of the core, and also all of the back body muscles, that whole chain of muscles there. And you'll see why when we come to do our plank pose, why this is really important. But you're going to come down and you're going to take your hands down by side. So it's basically what we did before, but we flipped ourselves over. So you're going to push your feet into the floor and really engage the backs of your legs. And you're going to even squeeze into your glutes and push your hips into the floor. So your legs are nice and strong to support your upper body. And then a big breath in, you're going to lift your head and shoulders. And then you're going to reach and reach and reach. But you're going to keep looking down at the floor, and you're going to keep your feet pinned to the floor, and you're just using your upper back, mid back, lower back, all the muscles in the back to lift you. Reaching your hands back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Using your hands, pressing yourself up, walking your hands forwards, and coming into heart melting pose. So your arms are active, you can have your toes curled under, stretch out the arches of your feet, or you can have your toes untucked. And you're just releasing your chest down towards the floor. Really lifting your sit bones up. And then from here, you're going to walk your hands back. You're going to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. And we're just going to do some stretch out the legs first. And then we're going to do some hip circles like we did on the last video. I'm just going to move myself a little bit further up. So from here, you're just going to start to circle your hips. And I want you to think about your hands and what's going on with your hands. So you're spreading your fingers out and you're gripping your mat with the pads of your fingers. And you're making sure that your third knuckle is connected to the mat. So you're pushing down through there, and you're taking then some of the weight out of your wrists. This is what we were doing last week. So you don't want to add a lot of weight into the wrists if you can avoid it. You certainly don't want to dump all of your weight. And then going in the opposite direction with your circles. And I'm still injured on my right wrist, which is part of the reason for doing this series of videos, but I'm not able to come as far over my wrist on this right side as I could if I was just going to show you the left. So I want you to come as far forwards as it's okay for your body. And then from here, we're just going to sit back, release your wrists a little bit. You can shake them out. And then you're going to come back, all the way back down onto your belly. Do a little bit more work for the back of the body and stretch your wrists out at the same time. So feet are hip width apart, you're going to interlace your fingers and you're going to pull on your fingers as if you're trying to pull your fingers apart, and then you're going to straighten your arms if you can. You can have your elbows bent but still be pulling on your fingers if that's not possible. and then pushing your feet into the floor, the same as before. Inhale, lift, little lifts. So you're pushing back with your knuckles, feet are staying on the floor. I'm pushing my hips into the mat for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bring my hands back underneath my shoulders. Inhale, come up, and then again, a heart melting pose. Softening the space between your shoulder blades down towards the floor. And then come back, and you're going to bring your hands underneath you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like a half plank. So you're going to have your hands under your shoulders and then walk them a little bit further forwards. Tuck your toes under. And then from here, you're going to inhale, come forwards. And what you're thinking about doing is bringing your shoulders over your wrists, same action with the arms, wrapping your biceps in, triceps back, really hugging your arms in towards one another. And then you're thinking about lengthening your tailbone, but you're pushing into the floor so that you're lifting your chest away from the floor. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend your elbows, inhale back up, and exhale back to child's pose, okay? So we're going to do that a few times, and we're warming up the shoulders and we're building up some strength in the arms as well. And so your inhale, come forwards to your half plank pose. And then as you exhale, take your elbows back, but you're trying to lift your chest away from the floor, even as you're lowering down towards the floor. And we're just going to do this twice more. So inhaling, coming forwards into your half plank pose. Engaging, pulling your ribs down. As you exhale, lowering halfway. Inhale back up, exhale back. Inhale forwards to your half plank. And again, you can pause the video. You can do this as many times as you want or as you need. And exhale back. And then untucking my toes. And again, I'm going to interlace my fingers. And I'm going to pull, as if I'm trying to pull my fingers apart. And then I'm going to reach my hands up. So it's the same as we just did in that back body core movement. It's a release for the wrists. And then I'm going to reach my hands back out. And I'm going to come up into downward facing dog. So making any adjustments that you need. And again, making sure that you're gripping with the pads of your fingers. So the weight's in your fingers first, then in your third knuckle, and then in the heels of your hands. So it takes it out of your wrists a little bit. And then anything that you want to do in your downward facing dog. So that might be like pedaling out through your legs. As I've said before, my favorite one is to swivel on my heels and really stretch out the side of my waist and all the way through into the shoulder. This is a tight spot for me, so good. And then come back to downward dog. And what we're going to do is we're going to circle in down dog like we did on all fours. So as you come to sort of the front of your circle, you're going to end up virtually in plank pose. That's why we're doing it. So you're going to lift your heels and you're going to inhale, circle forwards and back to your down dog. And then circling forwards and around and back to your downward dog. Around, back to down dog. So I'm swiveling on my heels, not on my heels, I'm swiveling my heels by swiveling on the balls of my feet. Then I'm going to go the other way. So because you're not staying in your plank pose for long, it just feels a little bit gentler, and you're getting used to taking that weight over your wrists. Good. Lovely. And then from here, just lowering the knees down, and I'm just going to turn my hands back this way, and then just rock a little bit forwards and back, just forwards and back, just easing out the wrists. And then as well, I'm just going to turn each hand and press down through the other hand, and just little pulses down towards the floor. And you'll be able to see, like for me, this is my arm or my wrist that isn't injured, and I have a lot more mobility there. And when I come to this side, you'll be able to see, oops, that there's much less movement there. So I'm just very gently starting to stretch into that wrist. So you might be absolutely fine on both sides, or it might be a little bit more like this side of mine. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to come into a forearm plank. Now, apologies if you're not strong in your shoulders. My shoulders are my weak point as well, as you're probably going to feel this quite a lot in your shoulders. But the reason that we're doing it is to get the key action of plank pose without being on the wrists. So if you need a little bit more support in your shoulders, I'm going to suggest that you have your hands interlaced like this, or you could have your hands, palms down. You're lining your middle fingers up with the middle of your elbow, and you're pushing your middle fingers down into the floor, and you're hugging your arms towards one another, and you're going to start to push the floor away from you with your elbows. And then from here, you're going to straighten one leg and then straighten the other leg. So you want to make it so that your shoulders are stacked over your elbows. And these are the key actions for plank pose that we're going to go through now. So your feet are hip width apart. You're going to push your heels away, and you're going to really engage your quads. So the whole of your legs, especially the front of your thighs. And then from here, you're going to pull your tailbone down towards your heels. You're going to pull your ribs down towards your pelvic points. And then you're going to push the floor away and bring a little bit of rounding into the space between your shoulder blades. You're looking between your hands, and you're just going to stay here for a few breaths. And then slowly, lower your knees down. Another little pause in your heart melting pose. So stretching your arms out long, releasing your chest down. It might not be your chest, it might just be your head that you're bringing toward the floor. You might have a blanket underneath your forehead. And then you're going to slowly walk back up, and then tuck your toes under, come back to your downward facing dog. And then again, I'm just going to do some little pulses in my down dog, just releasing my spine again. A little bit of strengthening for the arms. So come into stillness, and then as you inhale, wing your elbows out to the sides, and then wrap your elbows under and really hug your arm bones in towards each other as you straighten your arms. Wing your elbows out and then wrap under. Wing your elbows out and wrap under. One more. elbows out, wrap on down, good. So lift your heels and you're just going to slowly tiptoe your feet towards your hands. Keep your feet hip width apart. And then we're going to go into a movement called Breath of Joy. Many different names for a lot of these poses. But you're going to bend your knees and swing your arms back behind you. So this will be sort of the end of your movement. And then you're going to inhale, reach your arms up. And then you're going to reach your arms out. And then you're going to reach your arms up and back down. Okay, so it's up, out, down. Up, out, down. Okay, so you can find your own rhythm, building a bit of heat in the body. Make sure I don't knock any of these pictures off. And again, you can do this for as long as you want. So I'm going to finish on this one here. Okay, and then from here, you're going to reach your arms, keep reaching your arms up, and you're going to pick up your left knee. So still staying with our standing balances, so keep visiting that again and maintaining that strength that we've built. And then from here, you're going to take your left foot back and reach your arms back. Okay, and then we're going to move between those two poses. So pushing into your right foot, gripping with your toes. Inhale, pick up that left knee, and exhale, slowly step back. Okay, fine. Woo. Find your balance. So the first few are always, well, for me anyway, the tricky ones. Inhale, come up, and exhale, set the foot back down. Inhale up, exhale, set the foot back. Really use the back of that left leg. It's like you were doing in your back body chain and muscle exercises. Inhale up and exhale back. One more, inhale up, exhale back. And then from here, you're going to inhale, reach your arms up. I'm going to stretch out those triceps again. So like you did at the beginning, you're going to take your right arm down your back, and you're just going to hold on to your right elbow with your left hand. And then inhale here, and as you exhale, woo, tip forwards. Inhale, come on, so you're really going to use that back leg. Exhale, tip forwards. Inhale, come up. Exhale, tip forwards. Inhale, come up. This time, you're going to exhale, tip forwards. And then you're going to start to lean into this right leg and lift this left leg up for warrior three. And if you can straighten that right leg, you're going to straighten that right leg. Push into your left heel. And then slowly start to tip forwards. And release. Oh, your fingers to the floor. Really good. And then keep lifting that left leg and fold yourself in. So I'm pushing my fingertips forwards, rolling my shoulders back as I bring myself closer towards that right leg. And I'm squeezing all the muscles in my left leg and really using them to lift that left leg a little bit higher. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to bend both knees and take your left knee to the outside of your right foot. Just adjust myself on my mat. And then from here, right fingertips behind, inhale. Lift your left arm up, push with your right foot, and as you exhale, hook your left elbow around the outside of your right knee. So just let your breath settle down. So that's quite a tough standing sequence. So just going to release the legs from the standing work on this side. So you're going to release and you're going to bring your left foot or shin so it's parallel. with the front edge of your mat, and you want your left knee to be pressing into the floor. And then I'm going to try and get this right leg so that everything's at right angles. And what you can do to make this more accessible is put something underneath this left hip to elevate your hip. And then from here, you're going to bring your fingertips forwards, and you're going to inhale here and exhale. Bend your elbows and push your left knee into the floor. Inhale, come up, and exhale, bow. Inhale up, exhale, bow. Inhale up, and exhale, bow. One more, inhale up, and exhale, bow. And then inhale, come up, and then you're going to take your arms out to the sides and lean forwards for 10, 9, 8, 7. Really push this left knee into the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, slowly come up. And then from here, just tuck this left heel back in. Push into your hands, reach your right foot back, downward facing dog. And again, moving in your downward facing dog. So for me, I just want to do that side stretch again, maybe bending my knees, but there's so many other things that you can do in downward facing dog, depending on how your body feels. Good, and then come back. And I'm going to tiptoe my feet back to the front of my mat. And this time, I'm going to bring my feet together, and we're going to do just a little bit of work for the triceps again. So bending my knees for Utkatasana. And I'm pulling my knees down towards my feet. And I'm going to inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, really reach back and lift my arms. So I'm going to squeeze my triceps to lift them up. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Reach my arms back and squeeze the triceps. Inhale. I'm going to pick up this right knee as I go. Okay. Grip with your left toes. Commit that left foot to the floor. Really hug that left outer hip in for strength, and then exhale. I'm going to slowly step my right foot back into crescent pose, and then moving between those two poses. Inhale and exhale. So it's always a little bit wobbly on the first few, I find, so just bear with it. Even if you need to keep touching your foot down as you work between these two poses, it's fine. Exhale, see? Inhale up. Exhale back. One more, inhale up. Exhale back. Okay, so I'm going to set my feet so the hip width apart. Inhale, reach my arms up. So I really want to use the back of this right leg. This time I'm going to take my left elbow in my right hand and bring my left hand down the middle of my back. And then inhale, really use that back leg. Exhale, come forwards. Inhale, back up. And exhale, forwards. Inhale up. Exhale, forwards. One more. Inhale up. And exhale, forwards. Stay. Start to step into this left foot and reach the right leg back. So you can stay with that left leg bent for Digasana, or you can straighten that left leg and push your right heel back. Reaching this left elbow forwards as the right heel goes back. And then slowly start to tip and release. Oh, and it is a relief as well. And then push your hands forwards, really engage this right leg and draw yourself closer to that left leg. And then lift, bend both knees, hook this right knee to the outside of the left foot. Just going to reposition left fingertips behind. Inhale, reach your right arm up, and exhale, push your left foot into the floor. And that's going to help you to pull this left knee across and in towards your chest for the core work, flexing your right toes, and then really lift the crown of your head up to get length between your vertebrae. And as you exhale, use your core to find the twist. I didn't say that on the other side, but your twisting is that inner body movement. And then release. And this time it's going to be my right shin that comes parallel to the front edge of my mat. And then I'm going to take my left leg out and see if I can get that to be at right angles as the same as my right leg. And again, you can take something underneath this right hip so that you kind of be a little bit more level in your pose if you need it. Inhale, lift, and exhale, fold. Trying to keep my shoulders square. Inhale, lift, and exhale, bow down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. One more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, lift. I'm going to take my arms out and lean forwards. Push this right knee into the floor for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. I'm going to tuck this right heel in, plant my hands, swing that left leg back, and press back up to downward facing dog. So we're going to get ready to come into our plank pose. We're going to come into it from downward facing dog. So I want you to get your alignment with your hands and your arms first in your downward facing dog. So your feet are hip width apart, because you might need to adjust the position of your feet anyway. And you're going to have your middle fingers pointing forwards. You're going to grip with the pads of your fingers. You're going to push your third knuckles down into the floor to take some of the weight off the heels of your hands. Wrap your biceps in. Roll your triceps back and hug your arms in towards one another. And then start to push the floor away, and you're going to start to come forwards into your plank pose. And you're just going to adjust your feet a little bit if you need to. So you're coming forwards over your wrists, and you're going to start to push the floor away more. You're going to pull your ribs down, lift your pelvic points up, and draw your tailbone towards your heels, and then draw your heels back and really engage your legs. And you're just going to keep all of that alignment. Feel where you're strong and where you feel that you're not as strong. So for me, it's definitely in this right arm with my the work that I need to do with my wrist at the moment. And from here, just take another breath or two. And then slowly lower your knees down and sit your hips back onto your heels. And then sliding your hands back. Make fists. We'll do some little circles. So well done. I'm sure that you found that pretty strong to hold your plank. There's an absolute ton of stuff that we can do from plank, moving down dog to plank, and lots of different variations. But for now, I'm going to keep practicing that. Push the backs of your hands down into the floor. Pull your knuckles back towards you. And release. And then to finish, just going to slide forwards. just move your way a little bit across to the right side of your mat. And then you're going to bring your right knee up towards you. And you're just going to keep that knee bent and release that hip down towards the floor. Or you may want to straighten that right leg. But as much as you're releasing and stretching your inner seam of that right leg, you're also moving that hip back away from you. So I like to roll towards the sole of my foot. So I get the inner leg line stretch, but I also get the outer leg line stretch. And then rebend this knee. And then you're going to thread your left arm underneath and you're going to roll into a twist. So this is where you might need props. If you want to slide something underneath this right knee or underneath your right arm. And you're just going to take some really big breaths, rolling that right outer hip forwards. And releasing this right shoulder down towards the floor. And then rolling back onto your belly. And then bringing the left leg. Same thing on this side. You can stay with that left knee bent and releasing that left inner groin down towards the mat. Or you can straighten that left leg. And maybe like I prefer to do, you can roll a little bit more towards the sole of your foot. My wall's in the way a little bit. But basically, you're just stretching out the legs. And if you want to do this, be a little bit more restful, you can make a pillow for your head with your hands while you do it. I like this forearm version because I'm getting a little bit more of a stretch into the belly and the front of the hips. And then bend that left knee. I'm just going to make my way a little bit over. You might not need to do all this wriggling about within that. And then I'm going to thread this right arm under and roll into my twist. So I'm releasing this left shoulder towards the floor, releasing my left knee towards the floor, rolling my left hip forwards. Breaths here. And then all the way on to your back. So finishing with Happy Baby, just holding on to your feet or your shins or your thighs, a little rock side to side. So a symmetrical shape to finish so that the body's nice and balanced. You can also straighten your legs. So these last few moments are like the beginning, sort of feeling what's been created in your body and making sure that you're not taking any tension or any sort of niggles that you might feel, say in your lower back. So this is a really nice massage for your lower back as well as the symmetrical shape of Happy Baby to finish. And you want to be as relaxed as you can be. And if you do still feel anything in your lower back, keeping your knees bent, feet wide, knees together, or sliding your feet out, opening your arms out, getting really comfortable. Again, pausing the video and taking some time in Shavasana. Really important to do that so that everything is memorized. Any movement patterns that you've broken, any new pathways that you've created for strength, for the release of tension, your body gets the opportunity to memorize all of that. And then when you're ready, you're just going to wriggle out your fingers and your toes, a big stretch. Roll onto your side. And press yourself up to a seat. So thank you for watching, thank you for practicing with me, for allowing me to be your guide through that practice. I hope that you can feel that you're building a little bit of strength in your hands and your wrists. Just keep going, takes time, and I shall see you on the next video.